Hello everyone, welcome back to another Ascension guidance reading. If you are new here, my name is Alvia. I help people ascend in this lifetime. I help people connect with their starseed origins, and I've also used many other tools on my path into this specific journey. And I also create decks like this, which I'm going to use today in order to support you on your ascension journey. This is specifically created for the Solstice Passage. So from Solstice to Imbolc, this is the 21st December into the 1st of February. Okay, of course this can be used as a timeless reading, so you can also watch this at any point that you want to watch this video in, and it should still be useful for you. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because as with everything Ascension, not everything needs to be so linear, but I've decided to start doing these for every passage like this. So between all of these, the pagan holidays and the solstices, equinoxes and cross quarters, so that's kind of the time frames that we are looking at, and that's what you can start to expect on this channel. The deck that I have created and will be using in this reading is the Star Guides Reminders Oracle, and we will be doing once again 3 piles for you to pick from. Without further ado, here are the cards that you can pick from. Ta-da! So Spirit decided to throw in a 4th pile, and I will give you a few moments right here to choose your pile. So here's pile number 1 with this sort of jade serpentine kind of a heart. Pile number 2 has this clear quartz heart. Pile number 3 has this opalite heart, and the pile number 4 has the rhyolite heart. So you can go ahead and choose your pile right now. Alright, those of you who picked pile number 1, your main theme of this current passage is lucidity. The shadow is mastery. And the integration, what you're sort of wrapping up during the Solstice Passage is be the beam of light in that space. And the threshold, or the sort of transformation that you're going through sort of during this whole period. So what you're going to need to become aware of in order to make it to your next level is astrology, divine timing, and the multiverse. And finally, the upgrade or the new paradigm of your reality is timelines. Okay, so we have very interesting set of cards here, and what's immediately coming through is the lucidity of time. Okay, so what you're most likely going to be dealing with is your understanding, observation, and awareness of time, and how fluctuating, how lucid it really is. And you've most likely taken the advice from my last reading and really taken your light out into the world. And what we're sort of integrating now is being that and doing that, and sort of wrapping up this lesson of being a luminary and just beaming your light into those spaces where it is most needed and where your light needs to be seen, and maybe even in places where you may have not felt so comfortable being in your full radiance. Now we are starting to wrap this up. We are starting to really integrate the true understanding of being this radiance. And as a part of that lesson, there is the shadow card of mastery. So this is kind of like maybe something that's a bit unconscious, or something that you might have to dig into. And it has mostly to do with, in this context, this is about mastering your light, mastering time, of course, because there's a big theme on time, but also mastering, yes, the lucidity, mastering all of the layers and levels of consciousness of all that you are, mastering the variety and the changeability and the matter of spirit, basically, mastering this and just becoming more and more aware of where your light is going. Okay, mastery is also, we can think of it through the right use of life force. We can think of it as the way we use our energy. Okay, so that's becoming also something for you to be aware of and something to keep in mind. And now the threshold, what will allow you to have your highest timeline, okay? Because this is the upgrade, this is the new paradigm of your reality, is to find your highest timeline and also know how to work with them in a conscious way, okay? Because even the timelines themselves are very lucid. They are not set in stone. They are still, they may still be constructs, and they may still be in our awareness. And they are also anchored in by various different things, okay? They can be sort of held in place by physical matter, but they are also mostly held together by our emotional and mental and cognitive and psychological patterns, okay? But once we start to look at these timelines from a higher perspective, we start to see where we haven't maybe mastered a certain lesson, where we maybe haven't really become fully aware of our highest potential, okay? So where we may still be wounded in some way. And the key lesson here is just knowing that divine timing, this is it's important to know, in order for you to find your highest timeline, is to know that sometimes, yes, there is a divine timing. Sometimes things will have to wait in order to really be set up properly, okay? So some of you may be having that lesson of patience here, but you also are reminded to look at things through the eyes of the multiverse, so through the infinite spark of all creation, and remembering that you know, yeah, astrological cycles may come and go, and we may have all kinds of, you know, phases of our lives going on, and there could be divine timing, but when you look at it from the eyes of the divine, you're going to be able to know why maybe certain things haven't manifested and why you may still be waiting on certain things, okay? So it's about mastering those karmic cycles, you know, because astrology does show us cycles. So it may show you, show us certain cycles that we are experiencing, and therefore we are able to see why we are going through certain lessons and certain paths, certain journeys, and it's so much easier to move through it and to learn from it when you're looking at it from the higher perspective, because that way you see absolutely everything. So one more thing that the guides are wanting to bring through is, it is important to master the lucidity. So to bring these two together, it is important for those of you who are watching this specific card pile to master the lucidity. This is just what they're bringing forward, okay? So just master being fluid, master being liminal, master being in between spaces, and try not to hold on to, you know, again, any constructs. Try not to hold on to how much time has passed. This is something that has to be really understood, okay? There may have been something that this soul group that's watching this card pile, that you have waited so long for something to happen, or maybe you have spent a long time doing something. But that's not the point. The point is the journey itself. And the point is, what did you learn throughout that? And the point is, what kind of different energetics, what kind of different intricate details and situations happened in that? What kind of timelines did you weave together? Because this is also another lesson, and another part of this upgrade is learning how to weave together timelines and make them into this cohesive sort of, what would we call it? Well, almost like a web of consciousness, but it's not quite the same. It's like a web of time continuum, or a web of life experiences, right? Because we have all kinds of timelines, just all kinds of timelines running simultaneously all together, and we maybe have a different timeline for when it comes to our health, and a different timeline for when it comes to our work, but they are still connected, right? So for someone who's at their best work timeline, they may be having their worst health timeline at the same time, but they can also have a timeline where both of those are the highest, or more aligned, so to speak, because the alignment it's really the key here as well. So in order to really reach that this highest timeline, it's important to let go, ironically, let go of the construct of time itself, because timelines really are more about the story and the experience than they are the physical and linear time. To wrap up your reading, since you did pick this jade serpentine heart, it's important for you to remember, every single one of you, that time is abundant, spirit is abundant, even mastery is abundant, your light is abundant, and the lucidity of the weird, quirky spiritual activity, it's all abundant, okay? So just remember that you're not running out of time. And this certainly is something that maybe some of you have been thinking of, that you're maybe holding on to the construct of time too hard, maybe almost clutching onto it a bit too hard, because deep down there may be this lack belief in terms of time. So it's important to really start to release that lack mentality around time, and to remember that it is abundant and it is infinite, okay? So that is your guidance for your highest ascension during this next 3 months, or about 2.5 months. Thank you for listening. If you would like to know more about my services, about what I do, all of the links are down below. The link to this deck, as well as the link to my website, and the link to my newsletter if you want to know more about when I may be opening up readings again, and when I might be doing something different, like mentorship or coaching or energy work, okay? So and any other workshops, go to those links down below. And as always, you can also leave money to my tip jar, online tip jar. I will leave those links down below as well. That will help this channel going and keep providing highly valuable content. I will see you next time. Goodbye. Hello, those of you who picked pile number 2, which is also represented by the clear quartz heart. And the main theme of your ascension guidance is peace. And the main theme that you are working through, your shadow, is the elemental portal. Okay, so that's the shadow theme, or the unconscious, maybe a little bit repressed side of things. And this card represents the integration and wrapping up. So these are the lessons that we may have learned over the last few months and are now starting to really integrate at this time. The threshold, or the transformation for you all, is practicing non-judgment. Okay, so this is something that you're going to need to be working towards or working through in order to reach this card, which is the upgrade and the new paradigm of your reality. And that is deconditioned from the matrix. Interesting. As we discovered, the main theme for you is peace. And in order to have peace, the conflict within has to be dissolved. And that can also be clearly seen in why this one came up in the threshold card or in the transformation card. Okay, because judgment is one of those things that really does cause distortion, and it does pull us into duality, and it can very well pull us into the matrix. Okay, so in order to really be released from the matrix and to released from those, nasty egregores that are trying to pull us into all kinds of directions and drain our life force just by pulling us into distortions and dualities and distress even, it's important to really start practicing that non-judgment. And this, I find that this practicing non-judgment and then also, of course, deconditioning from the matrix, those will start to happen as a ripple effect of this one ascension understanding, which is the thing that you're wrapping up. Okay, so this just seems to me like a very quick timeline. Almost seems like it's just going to unfold like that. It's like a ripple effect. And then this peace will be embodied just like that. And so what the one ascension card represents, it represents that there are all of these different paths to this ascension. Okay, so some people may not even call it ascension that they're doing or that they're experiencing, but it still is ascension regardless. And it's important to really respect other people's paths and to again, not judge them, and to really decondition from this idea that there would only be this one religion or one spiritual path that would lead to ascension, or that would lead to us reaching a higher level of consciousness in the collective and even on the planetary level. So it's important to remember that there are many paths that bring us to peace, and the peace has to be one of the core pieces of the sort of mission statement, if that makes sense. Peace has to be a part of it. And obviously there's like this idea that it's better to, be honest and upfront and cause conflict rather than, just to keep peace at all costs. But it's like sometimes we may have conflict just because we're being honest. But we're talking about the type of conflict that doesn't serve, right? We're talking about the type of conflict that is unnecessary. And we're talking about the kind of peace that is genuine, the kind of peace that is authentic and that is pure. And in order for it to be pure, it has to come free from all of the conditions, right? It has to be deconditioned. And it shouldn't be coming from people pleasing. Like, that's not what it's about at all. Because when we people please, that's when we kind of shrink. We shrink our own light. We shrink our own path. We step away from our path and put emphasis or put more importance to whoever that other person is. And we sort of want to please their path. We want to make sure that their peace is kept with the cost of ours. Now the shadow card, the unconscious, the elemental portal. This is saying, this is very interesting that it's coming here. Okay, so there could be this. Some of the people that are watching this pile may have to work through limiting beliefs in regards to elementals, okay, and portals also. So both of them, and the elemental portal card represents these pathways that the elementals come through, and that we can communicate and connect with elementals. And so technically it blends two concepts together, elemental and portal. And we can also create portals out there if we want to. So that's another thing. So maybe there are just these limiting beliefs around elemental portals, or elementals and portals, right? So we may think that they are sort of evil and that there would not be a way to ascension with these elementals around. But what many people fail to realize is that the elementals are also going through the shifts. They are also ascending. And when it comes to portals, this also requires mastery. You might want to watch the first reading, the pile 1, if you feel called to, because I find that would also help you. It would be relevant to watch that. But it does require some skill to create portals, or to close them, or to work with them. And so there's just something to think about that, because sometimes folks on the ascension path may feel a little bit wary about portals, or think that they are all evil, or that they are all bad. But they are not. Like, there's also very positive, vortices and portals and stellar gateways that are out there and that we can work with. And that could really help you to maybe work with the peace energy. So you might find that creating a portal of peaceful energy around you, in your energy field, in your living space, wherever, can actually help you to stay in peace and step away from the chaos of the matrix. Okay, so one more message that's coming through is that you have to be willing to step away sometimes from the matrix and from the conditioning that comes through the matrix system. So taking social media breaks, not watching the news for a while, or at all, and just like spending time alone, even if it's just for one day or a few hours even, and just think quiet, not looking at the phone, not looking at the social media, not watching TV or radio, just letting yourself be in your own peaceful energy. And remembering that, if you're having struggles finding that peace, you don't need to judge yourself for it. But eventually, as you learn to do that, and as you start to work with that tool, portals and elementals, portals as a tool, elementals as allies and guides, you will start to really feel more like you again. Because I know that many of my viewers are starseeds, so you're going to feel a lot more like you when you're not so plugged in and caught up with the matrix stuff. So that is your reading. And one more thing, since you chose the clear quartz crystal, once you decondition from the matrix, once you find your inner peace and you're clear from your judgment and understand that there are many paths to one ascension, which can also include elementals, portals, witchcraft, anything really, science, even religion, that could lead to ascension. Some of them, if it's utilized correctly, you will come into full clarity about all, about yourself, about your connection, about your role, about your mission, about your path. So, with that said, thank you for listening, You can find all of my things, including this deck, linked down in the description box below. And on my newsletter, I let people know about any discounts. You can also buy my Starseed Origins course if you wish to dive into that kind of stuff. And of course, if you want to, you can also support me by putting some money into my virtual tip jar. So the tea money, coffee money, snack money always helps, and it will help keep this channel going. And if you're new here, subscribe, please do. And I will see you next time. Alright, so those of you who picked pile number 3, your main theme is Field of Resonance. I might have already published a blog post about this, so I will link it down below. And of course, with any of the other cards, I might link those blog posts down below. Your shadow card is Starseeds. Your mission is not linear, it's ever expanding and endlessly evolving. So this is more like unconscious, maybe even repressed, hidden, or even limiting beliefs. And this card is representing your integration and wrap up, so things that you are wrapping up from the previous chapter, and even during the 3 days of solstice darkness, which is the agape in action. And the threshold of transformation is authenticity. Ooh, so this is the sort of key in reaching your next level. And finally, the upgrade and the new paradigm of your reality is manifestation. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So this is very interesting. First things first, unity is a word that just is radiating through all of these cards, okay? So in order to manifest things, manifestation is materialization. And in order to do that, the frequencies have to be available to you, and they have to be available to be embedded in your energy field, or in other words, the field of resonance. Okay, so the main theme here is, what are you resonating with? What energies is your energy field resonating at this moment? Anytime, really, throughout this next 2.5 months, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 10 weeks. What is your energy field resonating to? This is something that you're just being called to really pay attention to, because this is really the key in manifestation. It really is for everyone. Your specific lessons here, okay? So you are now integrating. Everyone who's watching this is now integrating the divine love, agape, in action, and acting from a place of divine love, being the love that, maybe does things and is things. It is first and foremost, but it also, at the same time, it also isn't. At the same time, it also acts, and it doesn't act, okay? It is a sort of presence, if that makes sense. And for when it comes to wrapping this up, this is something that's, you have been maybe mastering throughout this, the last few months, or perhaps even shorter time. And it's now being like readily available in your energy field. So this is just the time to really embody and integrate this agape, or this divine love, this love for humanity. Now, where the challenge may come is the authenticity, so doing it in a way that is authentic to you. Okay, so doing it in a way that is true to you, that is not a carbon cut copy of someone else's methods of putting divine love out there. Okay, so this is calling your loyalty to yourself, really. It is calling this open, honest, truthful expression, clear expression of self. Self on all levels, higher self and deconditioned lower self. When I say deconditioned lower self, I mean the personality construct. I mean the egoic levels, when they are actually working for the service of your heart and your higher levels, okay? Because this is possible. It is possible to program your lower levels, so your ego, your mind, your emotions, your psychology and whatnot, your body, especially your body, physical body, to work in service to your higher levels and your soul and the divine. So it is possible to do that. And that is a part of your lesson here. That is a part of the thing that that you must master in order to become a better manifester. So you have to be really honest with yourself with what you're actually trying to manifest. And why is it trying? It is trying because of that, because something there perhaps is not clear. Something perhaps there isn't honest or authentic to you. So you're really being, almost questioned on those things. And you're being shown that, hey, something needs to be adjusted. And sometimes it isn't even like a big thing that's, inauthentic with it. Maybe it's like you're manifesting a new shirt and it's just a slightly off the color that you want, which makes it inauthentic. I have personal experience to share about this. I got a shirt from my brother, and I actually wore it for a while, but then I realized that it was just slightly too small for me. So even though the shirt would have been like great, like the color was pretty nice, but the size was just slightly too small for me. So that's kind of what we might think about. It doesn't need to be like this big, like, oh my god, you lied on your resume. Or like you try to manifest a sports car, but you really want something different, like you really don't even want a car. Of course it could be that big, and for some people this is a big lesson, like they're trying to manifest a life that they don't really want. And I've seen it online, people do it all the time. And so it depends on a person what it really is. But once this authenticity and this truth piece comes through, and I would say it comes as a natural side effect of agape, because once you are that unconditional love and you're bringing it into your actions, you're going to start to do things differently. You're going to start to naturally align with that truth, naturally align with that authenticity of who you really are deep down. That's where manifestation happens. You're going to start to manifest left and right, and it's like boom, 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 and it's just all of the manifestations are just happening like that, and it's just, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun as heck. Okay. Now, when it comes to the shadow, I find that even in this reading as well, I'm pretty sure in the first reading there was this concept of like rigidity and this sort of fixed timelines that was coming up, and here you may have this starseed mission idea in your head that may be too fixed. You may be too fixated on a certain mission, a certain path of evolution, or maybe holding yourself small, or thinking that things have to be linear, or that manifestation has to be linear. But it isn't always that linear. It could happen as a side effect of you doing something that's completely unrelated or seem very unrelated. And some of you, yes, you might be keeping yourself too small. You may be sticking to goals that no longer apply to you. And that's also where the authenticity piece is coming in. But you're going to have to let yourself expand and evolve from anything that no longer fits you. And this way, once you release those old realities, you're going to be making space in your energy field for these new things to come through. And finally, this opalite heart is helping us with opalescence. Oh, opalescence? What? No, opulence. Opulence, that was the word. And so that is probably one of the things that you are manifesting, this sort of opulent reality. And this, the transparency, that is another thing that is coming through, because this is kind of transparent, not completely, but it's like taking the veils off. It's time to really take the veils off, because that will also create a much more authentic energy field, much more authentic and truthful energy. When we take the veils off, when we take, all of the masks off, and we start to show people who we really are. And that will help in adjusting and programming your field of resonance towards the manifestation of everything that you've ever dreamed of, as long as it's authentic to you and comes from pure divine love. Okay? If you loved this reading, please consider subscribing and maybe even leaving me something into my virtual tip jar. And I will also let you all know on my newsletter whenever I have readings and mentorships and coachings available. And I've also created a Starseed Origins course if you are curious about watching that. Either way, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Hello, those of you who picked pile number 4 and this beautiful rhyolite crystal heart. So your main theme for this next 8 weeks is unity happens when we stop polarization and division. And the sort of unconscious or the shadow here is discernment. Hello. This also came up in another reading that I did on the channel recently. And the integration and the wrap up, what we're wrapping up here is refined frequency. Oh yeah. And the threshold of your transformation towards this last card is conscious soul alignment. And finally, this upgrade on this new reality, is galactic alignments. Wonderful. Okay, so some of you are definitely on your way to connect with your galactic family, connect with different stellar objects, so say different stars, stargates, the sun of our solar system, the center of the Milky Way, and just other galactic and celestial objects. Now, there is this key. Okay, some of the people that are watching this are too tied up in the polarization and division. Okay, so those frequencies. Some of you all are just maybe too caught up with what's happening out there, with perhaps other people, with perhaps just the, in general, like out there in the world, maybe politics, maybe something else. Some of you all are again, like there was another message. Let me see which one it was. Yes, in the pile 2, there was also a similar message about being torn into all kinds of different directions. So you might want to watch that as well, unless you already watched it, because there's a similar message there. Some of you all may be dealing with, well, first of all, I do see that most of you are coming into unity, and it may be this realization that you're coming into that once you stop getting pulled into all of these directions and all of these fights and battles that are out there, you will come into unity, and you will find the unity with whichever aspect of consciousness you are trying to connect to. Okay, because when we let ourselves be pulled by a shit ton of energies, our consciousness it's just sort of frayed, and it's just leaking into all of these places. And what then happens is that it doesn't have the same focus to be in conscious soul. What I meant, it doesn't have the same awareness to be aligned with its highest possible outcomes, and it doesn't have the same focus for in regards to like the highest good of all involved. It doesn't have the same focus in regards to love. It doesn't have the same focus into being in tune with one's higher self. There's like a lot that's wanting to be channeled through this reading, because there is a lot, okay? And there's definitely the shadow of discernment. So again, this can come up for many of us in many different ways, but the reason why the discernment is showing up as a shadow is because maybe there is a certain part of us that wants to again polarize and divide people when we discern, okay? I have seen this where some people make videos about other people, and they're sort of, they're starting to divide people again more and more. They're starting to split people apart, and they believe they are doing the good thing. And even just me saying that, like me making a judgment like that, is like, well, who am I to say that those people aren't doing the right thing? And who am I to, say that somebody else is? But here's the thing. Where I come from is this just this pure divine love, unconditional love, okay? Unconditional love means that you understand that every kind of an approach has its place. So yes, even those people have their place, and it's not like I can just say that they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, but I believe that sometimes it can be very judgmental. Like, we can observe these judgments, but we still shouldn't be going into that us versus them kind of thing. We should just if it's not for us, we can just move on. And for when it comes to discernment, sometimes we can also take that the wrong way. We can think of it, we might think that discernment is judgment, or that it's rejection, or that again it goes into dividing people, or that it goes into isolating people. But it's not really. That's not what it's about. True discernment is understanding the core truth in all situations. True discernment is knowing, first of all, what's for you, what isn't for you, what is, and also the highest good of all involved. So, like, what's in the highest good of all involved versus what's not, none of our business, okay? And this is, by the way, something that I learned from Sandra Walter. So just if you want to, you can go check out her content as well, because I've learned a lot from her that is just really useful for the path of ascension, and just someone who seems to really come from their high heart. It could be also, what this card could say to us is that you might have a hard time discerning. It could be a really hard time to discern what is really being said between the lines. So especially if we are letting ourselves to be pulled into all of these different directions, or if we want to engage with certain topics that are very polarizing, it can be hard to discern what's really happening. And I've definitely noticed this as well. It can be sometimes a little bit hard to discern what is really happening. And what is the advice there is, again, to go into unity consciousness, and to go into that unconditional love, and to go into that divine neutrality. And again, I'm gonna link a video from Sandra Walter about divine neutrality so that you'll understand what it really means. It's interesting because in the third pile, I think it was about authenticity. Yes. Yeah, in the third pile there was this thing about authenticity, and it's also coming through these cards because some of you are now again wrapping up a refinement period. So you have been refining your frequency quite a bit and coming into more understanding of who you really are as a spiritual being having a human experience. So you've been refining your frequency, but then it almost seems like there's this outside force that's trying to bump in and just be like, why aren't you fighting with us, or why aren't you fighting for us, or why aren't you joining this and that and this and that and that and that. You know, it's like it's like there's this weird reaction from the external. There's this weird reaction from other people, and you just don't want to be a part of it. Like it's I can feel it through this reading that some of you are so tired of it, like you really don't wanna be a part of that. But it can also be a hard time to, you know, discern like maybe where that's coming from, or maybe what actually is it, right? But here that is not the most important part. The most important part is knowing where you want your frequency to go and to come into conscious soul alignment and to really be truthful to your soul, what your soul is here to do, and what you are here to support this planet with, as well as the entire galaxy, okay? Because in this new reality that you are anchoring in, you're going to be much more aligned to your galactic origins, as well as all of the magic that's happening in the universe. So you're going to be much more aligned with that. And because you are in much more alignment with your soul, and because it's a whole lot more conscious, like it's becoming this conscious process that you're doing, making conscious choices, conscious actions from your soul, and from a place of aligning with your soul. You're also anchoring in your own galactic codes, your own starseed DNA, your own starseed light codes are becoming anchored into this planet and into the human heart field. And even in your immediate like circle will be feeling that. People will be feeling it, okay? It's like they cannot not feel it. And this can then also help with what I said, with maybe there's this sense of others wanting to pull you into their stuff. But then I see that that's most likely going to stop eventually, because, or at least for a while, because you are so much more unified with your starseed self. And when you are so much more unified with your starseed self, you will naturally start to transmute and alchemize all energies that cause distortion. Alright, and to wrap this up, Rhyolite can help us with, you know, when we're dealing with challenging times, and it can really help us with our thinking as well, and healing. So this is showing you where you don't need to be pulled into every direction, and that things can actually become a whole lot more easier once you start to consciously aligning with your soul, once you again integrate this new refined frequency of who you are, once you know what discernment really is deep down in its more purest frequency, becoming into unity and aligning with your galactic origins, aligning with your any galactic aspects of your consciousness, of the entire universe and multiverse. With that said, thank you for watching. The link to this deck is down below in the description box, and I have also included links to my virtual tip jar, so if you want to help keep this channel going, that is always appreciated. You can also sign up to my newsletter if you want to know when my readings and mentorships and other services, one-on-one and group services, as well as workshops, are available. So make sure you head over there, and as always, subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know in the comments how this shows up, so if it's starting to show up immediately or if it's starting to show up a couple of months after. Just let me know, and I would be happy to hear from you. Thank you so very much, and I will see you next time.